about you guys, but it feels like the Resistance event has gone by pretty fast. We're entering week 5 starting tomorrow, and as such, that's going to be the start of the conclusion of the Resistance event. This is the final week. It is going to go from tomorrow, February 20th, until February 27th at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, and 6 p.m. GMT for the final week. And throughout, we're going to have a ton of stuff to keep us busy, but unfortunately, it is coming to a close after this week. I personally feel like I've had a lot of fun with it. I honestly feel like I didn't take advantage of near as much as I would have liked to, which I'm upset with myself a little bit about, but what can you do here for this? Hopefully, I can end up gathering enough Resistance supply drops to at least chip away at the revolvers, because I still don't have either of those, but that's neither here nor there. Today, we're going to be talking a little bit about the changes that you can expect for World War II going into the final week of the Resistance event. Keeping with tradition, once again, we've been talking about these and giving weekly updates every week since Winter Siege started, and then whenever Resistance started up, we did that again here with this. So this past week, it might have been, in my books, probably the slowest going of the weeks that we've seen thus far in the Resistance event. We didn't have a double XP event going on throughout the week at all. We had gun game return, so it wasn't anything that was new specifically for the Resistance event, but instead, it was still a lot of fun. We still had a good time with it, but week 5 looks to ramp all this up and give us a little bit of a conclusion, ending with a bang. So without further ado, let's just jump right into the contents of the week 5 changes for Call of Duty World War II with the final week of the Resistance event. So starting right off the bat, of course, as always with every single week thus far, we get a free Resistance supply drop, and all you have to do is go over to your mail station, go over like you'd collect your armory credits, and scroll over just one into the inventory there, and you'll be able to see your Resistance supply drop for free that you can pick up. Now, of course, that's not the only chance you'll be getting for Resistance supply drops, and we'll get to more of those in just a second, but this week we actually do have a double XP event, though partially for the entire week on one end and then partially not. So what I mean by that is that double XP on Nazi zombies goes the entire time. If you're a zombies player, you'll have double XP the entire week starting tomorrow, Tuesday, going until next Tuesday at once again 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 10 a.m. Pacific, and 6 p.m. GMT. However, if you're on the multiplayer side, well, we've already had a ton of different XP events in the Resistance event, so we don't get it immediately. What we end up getting is a triple feed XP event starting on February 23rd, which is that Friday. So going into the weekend, that's going to be a long weekend of grinding if you guys want to check that out, because we end up getting double XP for your soldier, double weapon XP, and double division XP. So if you have anything you want to rank up, that is a perfect time to do so. Unfortunately, it doesn't last the entire time from Tuesday to Tuesday, but it is still a nice couple of days you have to grind it out and end up getting it to chip away at whatever rank you want to achieve. So I personally know that I'm going to be grinding out a ton of this. I want to get into the next prestige and maybe the prestige after that, but I guess we'll see how much time we can allocate to it. But regardless, double XP event, we have one this week for both modes, one a little bit longer than the other, but still, it's all good. Now, as for the weekly orders, well, these are going to change a little bit again. We saw that we have them on a slight rotation almost, where a lot of them are very similar, but aren't necessarily exactly the same with each iteration that each week brings. So for comparison, this past week, to get a Resistance supply drop, you had to complete 100 matches, get 75 kills with a tactical knife in the Resistance division, and play 25 matches of gun game. This week, though, you have to play 25 matches of prop hunt, get 200 kills in the Resistance division, and get 100 kills with a pistol. So if you want to take a look at different comparisons throughout the different weeks of the Resistance event, you'll find pretty much each of these at one point in time during another. So these aren't necessarily anything brand new, but more so a conglomeration of former weekly orders for us this week. So during that weekly order, we already know one thing that's going to be coming back for the featured playlist, that being prop hunt, but we'll talk more about that in just a second. As for the daily orders, as with what we've seen, once again, many times here throughout this event, it's on a rotation. So you're going to see the first 4 days of the daily orders be exclusive to those days, but then after that, they'll start to repeat over. So it's a 4 and then 3 of those initial 4 being seen twice, if that makes sense. So on February 20th, starting tomorrow, the first order is to kill 10 props in prop hunts. Then you have to survive 5 rounds as a prop, then win 5 matches as a prop. On February 23rd, the final one of this rotation is to win a round as a prop without changing props. Now after that, once again on the 24th, that's when it starts to roll over and everything starts to repeat, to which you can end up killing 10 props once again for that daily order, and it goes on from there. So that is once again all these going to net you 1 Resistance supply drop for completing them. Even the daily orders, you're going to be able to getting Resistance supply drops out of it. So if you guys are trying to stockpile like me, try and take advantage of these. These ones should be pretty easy on the grand scheme of things, because once again, 25 matches of prop hunt, they go by pretty quick. 200 kills in the resistance division and 100 kills with a pistol for the weekly orders. Those go by very quickly. I usually knock those all out with the contracts just in war mode, simply because resistance division, pistol, it just works out well for me, and you can knock out multiple birds with one stone. Now that said though, the contracts themselves, talking about those very briefly, these are exactly the same as what we saw last week and the weeks before, save for one different example. This past week we had one swapped out for gun game, in which you had to get 70 kills in gun game for that contract. You can do it once a day, but this week it's going to be reverted back to what it was before, in which you can get 5 headshots in team deathmatch. So that brings the contracts themselves to being 35 kills in any mode, 35 kills with the pistol, 55 kills in war, 5 headshots in domination, 30 kills in the resistance division, and 5 headshots in team deathmatch. So once again, returning back to what we saw a couple of weeks back, and you might recognize these as being sort of normal, and this is what we've kind of had as the basis for the resistance events in the contracts. Now these will all of course cost you armory credits in varying amounts, so you don't have to buy these if you don't want to, but they all will net you 1 supply drop reward for the resistance supply drops, which of course are a great way to grind these out and stockpile them up. I'm going to try and take advantage of all these as much as possible. I recommend you do the same if you want to get anything out of the resistance collections before it's too late, so give those a shot. Once again, as with the orders, these ones are relatively easy in the grand scheme of things compared to some that we've had previously, but that's going to round out the contracts for this upcoming week. Now the final thing to talk about in terms of the schedule of events is the featured playlists. This one we actually have multiple this week instead of just one that we've seen previously in a couple of different occasions throughout the Resistance event. Similar to week 3 of the Resistance event, we are going to have 2 different featured playlists, both incorporating prop hunt and demolition in some way, shape, or form, but we end up having double XP on prop hunt as its own featured playlist, but then we also have one called Bomb Mosh Pit, which again incorporates demolition but is not exclusively demolition for World War II. So Bomb Mosh Pit is going to have double XP as well, but it's going to be demolition and search and destroy. So if you guys are interested in that, you're going to probably see a little bit of a mix of players playing search and also playing demolition. I personally would have liked to see maybe just demolition as its own, because I love demolition. I think it's a great thing to play. I think it's a great mode, and I'm hoping it comes back relatively soon because I have a ton of fun with it. But this one, you're going to have to be aware that you're probably going to get some search matches as well. So if you don't want to play search, you might want to play a little cautiously with this one, but it is what it is, and those are the featured playlists here for this one. Both of them, once again, netting double XP, but that closes out the schedule of events for week 5 and the final week of the Resistance event. So now as we cruise maybe closer towards a more normal state of World War II, where there's not anything going on that players can be involved with day in and day out, similar just to the base game, well, I don't think that's necessarily all that bad. I think that what we have is actually something that's going to be coming up again, that we see this flare up very soon here with this. And honestly, I think we may have another event on the horizon here once again starting very soon. If you guys remember, Winter Siege ended, and then 21 days later we ended up getting the Resistance event starting. So there's not all that much time between each of them, and in terms of, say, even acknowledging a release of a new event coming out, well, the Resistance event was only officially announced 4 days before it actually launched. So it's not out of the realms of possibilities that it happens, and if you want to take a look at it, in less than 21 days after the Resistance event ends, that's when St. Patrick's Day is. And if we want to see something that is a, once again, thematic and seasonal event, St. Patrick's Day, Modern Warfare Mastered capitalized on that last year, is a great opportunity to do so. You can end up playing around with the different thematics and maps, the headquarters, whatever it may be, and it's something that a lot of people could probably get behind. So that might be the catalyst for another event, and one that I love dubbing Shamrock Siege. That's just one that I just love to theorize about in my mind. But nonetheless, I think it's still possible. I think there is stuff that we could end up seeing pushing forward for a new event coming shortly hereafter as well. So that would mean maybe even new DLC, maybe new variants, new customization items, all that kind of stuff, but it also would mean that we jump right back into getting more new content within World War II. But also, we still will have a patch to look out for as well, because we're going to see presumably a title update get everything back to normal for World War II, like we saw with the end of the Winter Siege event. We had a title update that actually was a massive patch, not a hotfix, that put everything back to normal within World War II. And in that, we ended up getting sort of things like weapon balancing, some different changes to various locations of World War II. And that's something I think we can expect coming out of this once again, with the Resistance event ending up that same similar release fashion, if you want to put it that way, in how we end up returning World War II back to its normal state. And in that, we can end up seeing things like potentially paint jobs, the prestige token final chance indicator, the flak gun event for all, domination XL, score streak tunings, new shortcuts for the mail station and operations bunker so you don't have to actually go into the headquarters, that coming to PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, supply drop bugs being fixed. There's a lot of stuff that has been talked about that we still have yet to see action on, in the sense of it being implemented into the game, that would all realistically make sense to come out during this patch. And a lot of this stuff might sound like a broken record because, well, honestly, I thought we'd be getting a lot of this stuff a lot sooner, and we still don't have any real indication as to when it'd be coming. But this, again, is the next one that sounds logical for a release time, because you're going to have an actual update, not just the hotfix, to add these sort of things in. That's something that it's just, in my mind, at the next reasonable time we could end up seeing this. So keep your eyes out for that as well, because that's very possible, but is in no way, shape, or form confirmed at the moment. Just a hunch, just some speculation. But all that said and out of the way, that's where we're gonna wrap this one up. We talked about a lot here today. We talked about the contents in week 5, the final week for the Resistance event. So make sure you jump on, take advantage of all that stuff while you still have the chance. We talked about some stuff that may be coming up in terms of another event, a patch that may come out, all that good stuff. But I'd love to get your thoughts down there in the comment section down below. Is there anything in particular you're looking forward to? Whether it be out of the new contents for week 5, whether it be the possibility of another event coming up shortly thereafter, whether it be something in the proposed patch, whatever it may be, let me know your thoughts on it down there in the comment section down below. That said, hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. If you guys did, make sure you drop a like down below. And of course, if you guys are new to the channel, make sure you guys subscribe so you don't miss a single thing regarding World War II. We're gonna keep you guys up to date with anything you need to know about World War II in the sense of best class setups, tips, tricks, news, information, updates, all that good stuff. We got you covered here up on the channel. So if any of it interests you, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss a single thing. And if you guys want to follow me over on Twitter, that's the best place to get connected outside of YouTube. Practically live on Twitter. So if you guys want to strike up a conversation, ask me a question, whatever it may be, link is down there in the description below. And finally, if you guys want to follow me over on Instagram as well, trying to get a little bit more active over there as well. So if you guys want to follow on that route, feel free to. That link is down there in the description below as well. But that said, hopefully you guys are having a fantastic day. Thank you guys all so much for watching. Mine is an Espresso. I'll see you guys later. Take care and peace.